go ahead and plan what they think they can build. But the thing about it is, when you go through as many pages as you see there, you can go through line by line and it may all look reasonable to you. But when it's added up in total, we may be light or we may be heavy. That's what makes this a phenomenal tool. This is our manpower planning capacity sheet. Now, as you'll see, it's pretty simple. It takes how many hours does it take typically to build end case coil, large A coil. Takes our quantities, extrapolates that out. It tells you how many standard hours you need to earn. If you build what you say you're going to build, how many hours are you going to earn? Now from there, you go ahead and plan in some extra things. Put in some extra things. What efficiency are you going to run? Because if you know your efficiency and you know your vacation absenteeism and what we call lack of work, meaning we sent people home because we shut the lines down early, and also how much overtime are we going to run, that tells you how many hours of actual people you need in the building, and ultimately tells you how many people do you need in the building. You'll see that what we do, and as we continue to fine-tune this, the model drives an estimated direct labor manual. We come in later and we fill in what was our real direct labor, how close was it, and you'll see there's many months where it was very close. In fact, you'll see standard hours was, you'll see in July, that's not a typo, the model to the hour matched what the actual absorption was. A lot of that's just a factor of mix can affect this, but overall that we hit right on that month. But you'll see, for example, again, using July as our example, the model predicted 698. The actual number of employees in the building, 694. Now we found out we had a problem. We got to the end of August and we were a little bit more off than we had been previous months. 647 versus 644. So the model was saying we really should have less people in the building. And I thought that was an anomaly. Then we get to August, we got to September, and the same thing happened again, and what we realized was we had not been accounting for lack of work. So during August and September, we had more than usual, and this is a good thing, that the production schedule was ahead of schedule, and they went ahead and sent people home. So people who were still employees or still temps on our books were sent home, and as soon as we fine-tuned what really percentage does that drive, which is just another form of absenteeism, we'll plug in those numbers and we should be much closer on the direct labor manning versus actual manning. So we ended September with 647 employees. This page is attached to the rest of the whole SOP. It's part of the SOP. So when we come to the meeting, the production planning supervisor comes in, she puts in her PC, she puts this up on the screen, and we go through page by page, how many coils, how many air handlers by customer. And we tweak it based on what we know, what orders are on the books, what are our affiliates forecasting. But what makes this such a valuable tool is not that part. And that part's important, but we've always had that part. This page, this is what's so phenomenal. Because while we're all still in the same room, while we're all here, we're all in the same room, before anybody gets up and walks away, we can look at this manning. And this manning can be a huge red flag, and you'll notice that, for example, we ended with 647. Right now, our October plan, we think, was calling for 647 employees. But when we first sat down at our meeting the first week of October and plugged in everything we thought we wanted to build to satisfy all of our shipments, the manning, and it looked reasonable, page by page looked fairly reasonable. When we got to this page, that 647, 718. So basically what the model was telling us, if you think you're going to build that, you're going to have to go from 647 employees up to 718 employees. Now we knew that's not possible, especially when we were already a few days into the month. And so while we're all right there, instantaneously, we all keep talking about it, keep seeing what else can we do. Are there some orders that can wait? Or is there some inventory that can go lower? Until we got that number right to be consistent with where we ended September. So that's what's phenomenal about our SOP model. It's not groundbreaking mathematics. We know we're not going to win any awards for that. But what it is a tool that we come, we sit at the meetings and we go through this together. And instead of us going through the production plan and then have Joe go back to his office to try and figure out how many people is he going to hire, and have me go back to my office and figure out what's our absorption going to be like, what's our variation going to be like this month. It's all laid out for us right here. Also tied in this model, and you'll have a copy in your book, but we're still refining it. This model can also drive sales dollar forecast. I noticed for October, we think our sales are going to come in at 5.8 million, and the model was driving about 5,750,000. And that's pretty good considering we're still in the early stages of plugging in the average sales prices, and also eventually the inventory, or soon, an inventory tab will be added where it will predict the dollar value of finished goods inventory. So it's pretty slick. Like I said, not groundbreaking mathematics. What's great about it is that it's quick, it's immediate, and it tells us right away whether or not we're being realistic. Have we overcommitted? Or in the case of December, and I expect December will probably change before we get out there, are we planning too light? Huge spells it out for you, doesn't get any clearer than that. So now that tells you a little bit how do we plan our labor, how do we manage our labor, how do we make sure that we are fully loading our factory and getting the absorption we expect out of our factory. But let's talk about for a moment about the other component of our product costs, materials. Now, a lot of our materials are driven by, of course, our corporate, as you're well aware, are driven by corporate LAI level contracts. The one thing we have control over here is hedging. And we've gotten much more knowledgeable about hedging the past couple of months. Early this year, and we've been putting a lot of work, this particular spreadsheet you're looking at